This is how you go on Fox News from r/socialism? Who is this?
4 months away from 9-month brain rot.
En masse. But is the movement the future or the destruction of the Democratic Party? Joining me now, Mimi Solsitik, who was a 2016 presidential candidate for the Socialist Party USA. All right, Mimi, I just want to go slowly here because socialism confuses me a little bit. Has socialism worked anywhere it's been tried?
I think what we're working toward is something that we've yet to see. Socialism at its core means
socialism?
Worker ownership and control over production.
All right.
So I think it's important that you understand what it means and that your viewers understand what it means.
Okay.
So we're...
Bro, I feel like I'm looking at myself in like 10 years. Like, I feel like my style has not changed, okay? I have like white beard hairs now, and this is what I look like. I just turn into jank, but I dress the exact same way. You know what I mean?
capable of progress,
you know? So did they try socialism in Venezuela?
Fucking on, baby! Let's go! Oh, Jesse Waters, get fucked. Get fucked, loser. Get fucked, nerd. Venezuela. Have you heard of it? Venezuela. Bam, 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 bam. Venezuela. Have you heard about Venezuela? Venezuela.
You know, it's funny that I expected you to bring up Venezuela. It's such a weak talking point. You're talking to somebody who lives in a city that's got over 50,000 homeless people.
He passed away in 2020 from cancer? Wait, really? Oh, that sucks, dude.
So this diversion over to Venezuela...
Oh, no, I'm just asking where his socialism worked. Has it worked in Cuba?
Okay.
Has it worked in
the
Soviet
look at Cuba's
Union?
literacy rate. Sure, let me respond. Let's look at Cuba's...
Okay, Venezuela is easy as fuck. It's like Venezuela wanted to have autonomy over their own natural resources, and the government, the foreign governments did not want that to happen, okay? That's it. Internally, the capital-owning class, specifically in the agricultural production, decided not to allow the Chavez government and certainly not the Maduro government to do anything with respect to, I mean, they tried to coup him. They didn't want him to, be able to diversify the agricultural production within the country. Their over-reliance on oil ultimately ended up cucking them. They are completely excised from participating in the global economy and the global marketplace. But more importantly than that, Venezuela's like privatization rate, okay? Their private marketplace is still higher. They represent a higher percentage of the economy than fucking France. So saying that Venezuela is actually like a socialist nation state that failed is idiotic. If anything, they were, turning into a social democracy. They were socializing. They were nationalizing the extraction industries and whatnot, like Norway already has. And the only reason why it was an abject fucking failure is because of the foreign intervention that rendered it impossible. And that's deliberate because they want the oil. We want the oil. We want to use it ourselves. Anyway.
Literacy rate, let's look at their health care. Let's look at countries that have universal health care and how they rank against the United States healthcare system.
They
far outrank in terms of
socialist
quality of care.
healthcare in Canada, and a lot of the rich Canadians come to America to get their surgery. But let's just move on.
The last time the world...
Let's just move on.
I don't want to move on because you're wrong.
Okay, that's your opinion.
And you don't even care that you're wrong, which is bizarre.
No, I don't believe I'm wrong, but that's fine. We can move on. I love
that. A lot of people are coming from Canada to America to get surgeries. Like, okay, again, the dumbest fucking concept ever. First and foremost, that's not how fucking healthcare works. The only thing that America is actually good at, okay, is like certain kinds of cancer treatments, okay? They have cutting edge research here. We do spend a lot of money on it. And you quite literally said, rich Canadians come here, okay? So what the fuck is wrong with you, dumbass? You should have lied a little bit better and said, oh, Canadians are coming here, okay? Instead of saying rich Canadians still come to the United States of America. Because the entire purpose is like, motherfuckers are able to get healthcare there. We're not rationing healthcare off of how much money you have. That's so stupid. Why would you just like openly fucking give up your take there? You should have never specified that it's rich people, okay? Healthcare for all means all. It's significantly more important than, being able to give like 3 people the adequate care so that like so many poor people are going to fucking suffer still as a consequence of that.
Don't want to get bogged down on other countries. Let's focus on America here. You want socialism to replace capitalism here in America?
Of course I do. I mean, to say that I'm a socialist, that I don't want to see an end to oppression and exploitation, of course I want to see socialism replace capitalism.
I pay about 50% in taxes to the government. How high would you like to see my taxes raised to?
We would support a steeply graduated progressive income tax.
How much?
As it stands right now, the U.S. has...
I mean, let's just take me for an example.
Can you stop interrupting me for a second?
No, I'm trying to move the conversation forward. I want to get specific on your policy.
Sure.
What would you like to see me pay in taxes?
Okay, let's say this. I don't know how much you earn, but let's just say hypothetically it's $1 million, right? Let's say you were taxed at...
Okay, the best way to answer that is this. You get paid 50%, right? I mean, you pay 50% of your yearly income, right? And that's a lot of money. You're giving a lot of money to the government. A big percentage of your yearly earnings, the amount of money that you make, goes back to the government. That's crazy. That's a lot of money. No one is ever going to fucking say that that's not a lot of money, okay? You can get mad all you want, but you, chatters, are also paying around 50%, maybe a little bit less than that, right? So ultimately, that is a big chunk of the money. But the reality is, the richer you go, the richer you get, the less of the percentage you fucking have to pay to the government. So, hey, I think it's only fair for people that are wealthier than you to also pay 50% of their fucking yearly income, okay? 50% of the yearly earnings. That would open up a whole new universe, okay? But Jesse will never advocate for that because the reason why he can have a fucking fat salary, which puts him in the highest income bracket, okay, is because he fucking advocates for those people that are wealthier than he is. He already pays 50, you didn't even counterpoint? Yeah, because I have no interest in fucking taxing him even harder than that. Ultimately, if you want to fucking if you want to bring in new funds, okay, the real way to do it, and I say this all the time, I don't give a shit if it's even higher than fucking 50%, okay? The top marginal tax rate can be higher. That's fine. But ultimately, the real wealth is hidden in the stock market, not in the fucking income, okay? So whenever you increase the higher, when you increase like the percentage for the highest earners, you're not actually fucking hitting the fucking money managers. You're not hitting the real wealth, okay?
5 months to hate.
The people who buy, borrow, die. You're only fucking taxing doctors. You're only taxing actors. You're taxing athletes. You're taxing Twitch streamers. You're taxing YouTubers. You're taxing people that do not have the capacity to be able to shelter, like hide their income in the form of assets or hide their income in the stock market, which I don't even mind paying more in taxes, for the record, as I've said many, many times over, okay? But income taxes alone are not the way to fucking, fill up the coffers of the government. That's the reality.
Hassle, hassle, hassle.
Regardless, though, the socialism is when more taxes is a silly fucking argument, no matter what.
At 70%. If you can't get by on $300,000 in a country where so many are struggling, just let me finish. This is why you're having a problem right now. This smug smarminess in the face of suffering.
See, you're always gonna lose that combo. See, he said 70%. I don't have a problem with that, especially the top marginal tax rate. Okay? But even then, it doesn't matter. Dude, what the fuck do you mean? What's stopping Twitch streamers from investing in the market? Dude, investing in the market doesn't mean anything if your primary fucking form of compensation is not coming from the market. and it's not coming from the assets that you own. It's actually coming from Twitch streaming. So if you make, $200,000 from Twitch streaming, you can't like magically put that in the market, okay? It doesn't work that way. You're still getting taxed on that, and then whatever you're not getting taxed on, then you're putting that in the market, okay? So now the profits, as long as you don't take that money out of the market, the profits that keep growing and growing and growing in the stock market, sure, those are now not going to be taxed unless you fucking get it. But if you're filling a fucking 1099, investing your earnings does not change the reality that your earnings are still your earnings and you're still paying for it and that's entirely different than basically having being in charge of a business or being a CEO or having all of your assets already exist and making money in the stock market.
6 months. Nice.
Do you understand? People who make money can get away with sitting on that money for many, many years and never really using it. But then those are their assets that they can borrow against, okay? Whereas people who make money off of another company paying them, right? Like Amazon pays me and I fill a fucking 1099.
7 months of brain rot.
Newsman pays 50% tax and gets nothing back and gets smug about it. You pay taxes on those gains if you sell, though? Are you referring to hoarding cash? No, I'm saying that, I'm talking about people whose wealth are tied into their assets, okay? People whose net worth and their yearly income is completely insignificant. Because the real wealth is in the stock market. The real wealth, the real actual fucking wealth that we're talking about is people who exclusively make money off of a fucking line going up or a line going down. Okay? There is so much wealth hidden in the stock market in the form of non-liquid assets that we just simply do not tax at all. It's just money going back and forth. And the way to get around getting taxed on that line going up is by basically just borrowing against it, because you have an unlimited amount of non-liquid assets in the stock market that you can fucking point to say, hey, give me money. I have a lot of money that I'm making off the money that I already have, but I don't want to take it out right now. So can you please, banks, give me some money? And then the bank is like, that's great. You're very wealthy and you trade with us and we love you. Here you go. Incredibly low interest rate loan for you, sir. Also, when you cash out on assets when you're retired, you no longer have to face a progressively higher tax as it would with direct money when you are getting a salary. You have to explain how wealth works if people don't get it. I have X dollars in stock. I use that as collateral to get a loan for a thing I want to buy. Then I use the earnings from the X stock and to pay for the loan. This is effectively free money for the wealthy. Exactly. It's the whole point of capitalism. The wealthy people at the top own companies and assets, the means of production, and the stock market allows those who own these assets to continue to make money and amass more assets while the rest of us are screwed, making them all the money. Yes. Yeah. If you are if you're working for someone else, okay, if you're working for someone else, you are not in this conversation. And that even includes Jesse Waters. If the primary form of income for Jesse Waters is sitting in front of a fucking camera and looking like a modernized version of Fred Flintstone for 80-year-old geriatric fucks, while he explains to them that, if you're rich, you're good, and if you're poor, you deserve it. Okay, if that's where he makes his money, then he's still technically a worker. He's a cuck, but he's still a worker. And he's getting compensated for his labor. Okay? That is precisely the reason why the way he is taxed and the way the wealthy are actually taxed is entirely different. Nothing stopping y'all from investing X of your income in the stock market? Yes, but that is not how you can avoid fucking taxes. Okay, that's not, you can't engage in tax avoidance, okay, by just simply taking your fucking income and then moving it into the stock market. You can't do that because that income is being taxed regardless when it comes in, unless you are quite literally doing tax evasion, okay? Do you guys not understand this? When Amazon pays me at the end of the year or quarterly, I pay the government back a percentage of that, okay? Unless you're Ludwig, in which case you're just doing tax evasion because you forgot to do your taxes. So whatever kind of money I have on top of that, whatever kind of money is left that has after I have paid my taxes, now that's my money. Now, what can I do with that money? Now I can invest all of that in the money, all of that in the stock market, okay? If I want to, I can put all of that into the stock market. Now that I fucking put all of that into the stock market, if I don't touch it at all and it keeps making money, but I never like sell, okay? I never sell. And it just keeps making money. It's a YOLO. I'm hodling, okay? I'm hodling. Then that money, and however much money that's making me in the form of profits, as my net worth keeps growing, as long as I don't take it out, that's not taxable. But that's an asset now that I can turn around and use to borrow money against. I can say, look at my net worth. Look at how much money I have. Please give me money. I don't want to get out of these stocks that I own. So please, give me $1 million. And the bank goes, well, we're managing your wealth already. You're making a lot of money. We know you can pay with the interest. We know you can pay the interest because you have all these assets, okay? So now I'm taking a small amount out, okay? I'm taking a small amount out, and I'm being taxed on that small amount that I'm taking out, which is a lower tax rate than I normally would. And also on top of that, I have $1 million in debt that I can use against the fucking taxes that I have to pay, okay? And that's precisely why it's the infinite money glitch. But remember, if you're a streamer, if you're a fucking doctor, if you are a lawyer, if you're a high-paid job, if you have a high-paying job, the original income that you're getting is still taxed. The rest of that you can park in the stock market and engage in like a smaller version of the buy, borrow, die strategy. But ultimately, the
18 months, Chad.
The main principle, okay, the main money that you're making that makes up the largest percentage of your income, that's still taxed unless you are doing tax evasion. So basically the super rich complain about taxes they never have to pay anyway to keep as much money as they possibly can. Yes. Okay. Professionals are also worried that salaries for certain white-collar and blue-collar trade professions will also be smaller in a socialized economy. Besides the higher tax rate, comparing Canada EU salaries to U.S. salaries for doctors, lawyers, engineers, etc., combined with stock performance exceeding other countries is a powerful sticking factor. I see that, except most people that are in that fucking upper crust, yeah,
it's so quiet,
they can get fucked a little bit, okay? But they could live while getting fucked, and I think that's worth it. Unfortunately, those people don't, and they are the voters. So they are the libtard voters who don't think it's worth it. They're me, okay? We're talking about people like myself. We're talking about people like fucking actors. We're talking about people that are high salaried workers and also doctors, lawyers, engineers, etc. You know?
Waving hand.
This is real estate related, but some real fuckeries at 1031 exchange. You avoid capital tax gains if using another investment property. It's funny that people are supposedly supporters of capitalism don't understand this concept.
18 months of helping at Hasanabi pay for
don't you have to take out your money to pay back that loan at some point though? I mean, you need to pay the principal. But you can do that with by taking out some money. Oh my god, what the fuck? Bro, this is funny as fuck, dude. That's fucked up. fucked up. It's so funny because Peggy is so good looking. He's such a good looking dude. I'm literally wearing his merch right now. Look at this. My man. I work for the IRS and you'd be shocked at the stuff I see. Flushed. "46% of Americans don't own stock because they cannot afford to set aside income. Owning stock is a privilege." Yeah, and that number actually is not even that percentage is even higher than that if you were to take out 401ks and like Roth IRAs and stuff. So a lot of Americans think they own stock because they have like fucking, you know, they set aside some money and their company oftentimes matches that in the form of 401k. Right? But like in reality, that is a tiny fraction.
Pog.
That's a tiny fraction of the stock market. You sell investment property, number one, for $5 million. You spend $2 million on another investment property. That's $3 million as untaxed capital gains. Welcome to a 1031 tax deferred exchange. Yeah.
8 months. Let's hope.
And not only that, but for example, if you're a first time buyer, like myself, the government will give me up to, I think it's $500,000. Like, if my property value increases in the next 2 years by $500,000 and I sell it, okay, that $500,000 directly in my pocket, non-taxable. As long as I stay in the house for 2 years, okay, and then I sell the house and the price of this house has gone up by $500,000, none of that is taxable. Not a single fucking penny of that. You don't know, we don't even know what you saying, Tanky, says Wizard Rapper. What the fuck is this? Hasan is becoming a tanky, says Dripakisi. He's doing a lot of defending in China and Russia now. Very disappointing. There's a ton of incredibly dumb brain rot in this video. He calls NATO an arm of American imperialism. That's just fucking stupid, indefensible. The anti-imperialist action is to answer Ukraine's calls to aid. NATO is a defensive alliance. Why did you link this to me, dumbass? I don't give a shit about this. I'm not going to read this, okay? All right, let's continue.
It's not resonating with folks. Your days are over.
Well, listen, I would say...
Listen, guys. Listen. Look, if you claim to be fucking progressive, you claim to be a socialist, okay? If you're like, I'm a socialist, I love socialism, you can't fucking turn around and be like, I love NATO, okay? A project that was single-handedly created with the express purpose of defeating ideological socialism all around the fucking planet, and specifically the USSR, okay? And NATO, in and of itself, is not even supposed to exist now, okay? So now it's just like straight up being used for the Western imperialist project. It doesn't matter. It's not just America that's profiting off of it. It doesn't matter that it's not just America. It's a collection of interests, okay?
1 year baby hassle.
That is just, you can't be like, I'm a socialist and then fucking turn around and be like, I also am a NATO defender. I'm sorry. There's not a real thing. There's not like,
3 months post brain rot.
I mean, you can say I'm a tanky all you want, but like, I don't like Russia. Okay. I don't like Vladimir Putin. I don't. I don't think that like NATO is, especially in present day, NATO is a necessity, okay, for, I don't know, stopping fucking Russian involvement in other countries. Both can be bad. What do you mean? No, NATO, like, yeah, I do think that. I think NATO is bad. I think that Russian expansionist protocols are bad. But I think NATO is worse overall than everything. Like, it's just not good. So to all the socialists, like, I urge you to defensive MVP for Russia. Yeah, totally. To all the socialists in the chat that are like, I kind of like NATO. What's up? I ask you, like, Why the fuck are you why are you a socialist but you're repeating what the State Department says about NATO being a defensive alliance? Like, what kind of defensive maneuvers were they doing in Libya? What kind of defensive maneuvers were they doing when they're fucking in Afghanistan and Iraq? Okay? That's not centrism. Like, it's just not. I don't want war. I want less war. If war is inevitable, you know, I would like to have less of it. And that's precisely why me and the fucking Ukrainian government, even though they do want to be a part of NATO, are in agreement. They're like, shut the fuck up. Chill out, America. What the fuck are you guys doing? Calm down. We're not trying to have war. We're not trying to have war. We're not trying to have war. But America's like, no, fuck you. You are trying to have war. You are, actually. We're sending you troops right now. We're sending you more guns, and we're sending you troops right now. You are trying to have war. Shut the fuck up, bitch. War is what you're going to get, no matter what. My husband is dead. I don't want war. I just want sex. Click here. Then come up with a better solution of stopping Russian invasion, living in the most privileged, comfy... Dude, listen, bitch. It doesn't matter. I do live in the most privileged country. So listen, if you do send fucking... How about this? You send some fucking troops over there. You send, like, American troops to Ukraine, okay? And then your country turns into a fucking crater. You think that bothers me? No. You think that touches me? No. Okay? Yeah, get fucking cratered then. Get domed, okay? Put the 100,000 Russian troops inside of Ukraine. See how that goes, you know? Because that will happen. That will happen. If let America treat your country like a goddamn forward operating base in the Karengal Valley, okay? And get fucking domed. Good luck. Have fun. You will not be able to go to your Ukrainian nightclubs anymore. Okay?
Let's go.
You will practically find no one that lived in a social country or a former one that likes socialism. You will never understand what the pursuit of socialism, communism was like and what effects that had. Also demonstrably untrue. I mean, if you ask the people if they would rather live in the USSR than now, all the old motherfuckers are like, yes, I would love that. The only people that don't want to do that are people living in the West now, okay? That's because they ideologically were not aligned with that to begin with. A good chunk of post-Soviet countries would rather be living in fucking, you know, a Soviet-style governance now. Also, I don't even know why the fuck we're still talking about this, because we're not even, I mean, it's not going to happen. This goth girl follows you. Do you know her? Emma?
13?
Yeah, of course. I was hanging out with her the other day.
13 by 9 inches. Is this 13 by 9 inches?
Yes. I've taken 9 inches before. Looks about right. Sorry, I really had to.
I think so. Wait, I know this glass looks.
Respect. Anyway, look, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, because Hasan, cinema was objectively better when we had movies where Russians were the villains. Cinema was objectively, you aren't thinking about this clearly and letting ideology cloud your head. Yeah. So, and I want people to understand, like, I'm not in agreement with the fucking Russian expansionist protocols, okay? I don't like Vladimir Putin. I don't think you should fucking invade Ukraine. I don't think, same with Georgia, same with, same with Eastern territories. Like, it's not acceptable, okay? But what is also not acceptable is, like, I understand what Russia is trying to do, okay? I understand what Russia's trying to do. They are trying to expand as hard as they fucking can and assert regional dominance and regional sovereignty all the way to Finland, okay, to the gates of fucking Finland, so they can basically neutralize Finland and they can neutralize certain key European alliances like they originally had done,
16 months
okay?
and counting.
That's part of what they're trying to do. With Crimea, they wanted to fucking have direct access or more access into the fucking Black Sea, and that's precisely what's going on. These are strategic reasons for why Vladimir Putin is behaving in the way that he is. Okay? Hilarious to think that you would stop at Finland. You are ridiculous that you think they would go anywhere near beyond. You're ridiculous to think that they could even touch Poland at this stage, okay? You're crazy. Like, that is a crazy, maddening take, okay? It's so stupid. You're describing like an incredibly stupid take in your fantasy. Like, you think Russia is capable of things that they are completely not capable of doing, okay?
They're victims of their own stupidity, but still sad.
So, what's really frustrating here, though, is that they are. What's really frustrating here is that they are, agitating for sure. They're agitating for sure. And some of the things that they ask for, like removal of like NATO forces or the removal of like any sort of fucking NATO agreements or anything like that from countries that are now a part of Europe, okay?
Didn't hear that.
That are fully a part of Europe. Like, that stuff is ridiculous. It's not going to happen, okay? But I think in this situation, Ukraine is a totally legitimate. Asking Ukraine not to be a part of NATO is a totally legitimate fucking take. Dude, he's a despot with slipping power. Literally countless examples of shows of force to maintain power. Yeah, motherfucker, I know. I in my country, in Turkey, there's another despot with slipping power. I'm very familiar. But the problem here is this, okay? People constantly, when they have this conversation, they only focus on like Russian imperialism. I'm centering the Ukrainians in this conversation. I'm centering the Ukrainians' interest in this conversation. Okay? And that's what you keep saying. And it's like, you turn around and you then claim that like the only way to stop this is not through diplomacy and diplomatic ways at all, which by the way, it will be stopped that way. So I don't give a fuck how much you talk about how this is similar to appeasement, okay? And how you're likening this to appeasement. But ultimately, no matter how much you center the Ukrainian autonomy in this conversation and how much like Russia is encroaching on Ukraine, which is true, okay, that part is true, putting a fucking NATO base and turning Ukraine into yet another strategic position against Russia is understandably going to agitate Russia into taking action.
Pogo.
You did that in fully hearted supported appeasement. Appeasement in World War II is an idiotic comparison to make between against Russia, okay? In 2022.
I can stop COVID, leave it to me.
The main reason I'm anti-war is because I want this discussion to end. I mean, but it's not even war. And also, no matter how much we talk about this sort of stuff, like America's influence in the global scale is waning, okay? And China's influence on the global scale is growing. So America and Russia can engage in this like dick measuring contest all they want. Meanwhile, China is fucking going to the goddamn moon, okay? Literally and figuratively. And when you talk about like a despot in charge of a dying empire, I guess, if you were to consider a country with a GDP of like fucking one American state to be an empire, okay? It's just a regional power trying to assert dominance over their, strategic partnerships and regional allies and neighboring countries. Maybe also trying to bang on the old imperial power that they once was. But we're living in a dying empire. We're living in the dying empire. We're living in the Roman Empire that's dying right now.
Gamers rise up against the unvaccinated masses.
Okay? I know Canada's deputy prime minister's grandfather was a Ukrainian Nazi propagandist. Yes, I know. Chrystia Freeland was expelled from the USSR for working with the right wing. Yeah, I know. That is neither here nor there. Like, there are, of course, Canada is very weird about Ukraine. Ultimately, you know what the people of Ukraine don't want? Fucking war with Russia. You know who actually is far removed from the consequences of Ukraine engaging in war with Russia? Americans and Canadians and the British. And that's why you see, like, there is a little bit of miscommunication with what, like, the Ukrainian leadership is saying, where they're like, calm down, calm down, calm down. Let's de-escalate, let's de-escalate. And what American media is portraying it as, which is war is imminent, war is tomorrow, war is actually happening right now. You're just unaware of it. Okay? That's it.
This, I would say in the countries that have socialist policies, there's more suffering. In China, in Cuba, in Venezuela, and the Soviet Union, that system didn't work. And it wasn't those...
Nobody wants war. That's why NATO is acting as a deterrent. Dude, you're... come on, bro. Come on. You're an 18-month subscriber. NATO is not acting as a fucking deterrent, dude. That's ridiculous. Like, that's a ridiculous fucking assertion, dude. That is a ridiculous take. Yeah, dude, NATO has to exist. Like, we have to fucking bomb. We have to bomb Libya. We have to send fucking, I don't know, like Norwegian and French and British troops to fucking Iraq and Afghanistan because, like, NATO is a deterrence measure. NATO is the fucking agitator, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? NATO should have been fucking dissolved immediately in the aftermath of the Soviet Union's collapse. But it's still here, and it's still growing in power. I wonder why. Because it's not a defensive posture. It's not a deterrent. You're ridiculous. You have taken the State Department propaganda and the American, like, you call yourself a fucking leftist, okay? You like the aesthetics of communism. You put a fucking hammer and sickle on your fucking profile. You say you're an anarchist, and then you literally agree with John Bolton, okay? Like, that blows my mind. How the fuck are you in here for 18 months and you're like, no, NATO is a deterrent. Like, it's a defensive stance that they've taken historically and to this day. That's wild to me. Like, how the fuck are you going to be in here for 18 months and then turn around and be like, no, I don't think you understand. Like, I am in agreement with every Raytheon executive. I'm in agreement with, like, every fucking, I'm in agreement with every Democrat. I'm in agreement with every Republican. We are all in agreement on this. NATO is a deterrent. NATO is a defensive. How? Yeah, the best defense is a good offense, brother.
Those countries, and it's not those countries that feed the world and protect the world. It's the United States of America, and we have capitalism.
No major wars since World War II. NATO has 100% worked. If NATO didn't exist, we would have had World War III by now. No, dumbass. It wasn't NATO. It was fucking mutually assured destruction in the form of fucking nuclear holocaust. That's what has been the real deterrent, if you want to be honest about it. Okay? And there's only one country that's actually fucking used those nukes. We're living in it. And that's the reason why they fucking dominate globally. Because they were like, hey, we got the biggest dick. This is ours now. Everything around, this is ours. We got the biggest dick, and most importantly, we are not worried about flexing it, okay? And that's precisely what they did. Let's keep watching, sorry.
So many are struggling just... Let me finish. This is why you're having a problem right now. This smug smarminess in the face of suffering, it's not resonating with folks. Your days are over.
Well, listen, I would say this. I would say in the countries that have socialist policies, there's more suffering. In China, in Cuba, in Venezuela, and the Soviet Union, that system didn't work. And it wasn't those countries, and it's not those countries that feed the world and protect the world. It's the United States of America, and we have capitalism
The United
at its
States
foundation.
destroys the world. The
We
United
destroy
States
the world?
feeds and protects the world? You got to be kidding me. Conservative estimates since World War II show that the U.S. has killed at least 20 million people since World War II. The United States is an imperialist country. Its riches are built on...
NATO is literally the most important defense mechanism for many small European nations. The very existence of NATO proves that European countries are still scared of Russia's behavior. Yeah, dude, that's the only reason why NATO exists. Yeah. Not because countries want to be a part of the protection racket because, like, you know, they get nice, cool guns and money for offering land to Western imperialist forces. That's the reason. Like, totally.
On the backs
I don't know what you would have done with Nazi Germany.
Developing world.
I don't know what you would have done with Nazi Germany, but I think America...
That's so weird for him to say, like, Nazi Germany was defeated exclusively by American might, when it quite literally was defeated because of the top of the hour ad breaks that were avoided at the top of every hour. Dude, it's so good. So fucking good, dude. It's me!